You know, when you think of Nike, you think of a swoosh, just do it. I mean, it's not just a brand. It's a piece of our culture, right? It's one of the most recognizable things on the entire planet. For so long, they were the definition of athletic cool. But something's been feeling off lately. The giant is starting to trip up, and the very customers who made them an empire are starting to wonder, has Nike completely lost its cool?
And look, this isn't just one random person on the internet. This is a feeling that's bubbling up everywhere on Reddit, on social media, you name it. It's this gut feeling of almost betrayal. People who literally grew up wearing the swoosh are now talking about how the quality's tanked, the shoes are uncomfortable, and the prices are just out of touch. It feels like that core promise Nike made to everyone has been broken.
And this isn't just talk. You can see it in the sales figures. It seems like while Nike was busy with hype drops and celebrity collabs, this whole new crew of brands, Hoka, On, even a revitalized New Balance, they were busy chipping away at Nike's lead. And these guys aren't just selling sneakers. They're tapping into a whole new vibe, a mix of performance and just everyday style that Nike seems to have completely missed.
Okay, so to really get what's happening with Nike today, we have to rewind the clock. We need to go back to the very beginning, to the scrappy, almost accidental DNA that made Nike, well, Nike. And believe it or not, that whole story starts with a completely ruined kitchen appliance.
So, you've got this guy, co-founder Bill Bowerman. He's a track coach and he is obsessed, obsessed with making his runners' shoes lighter and faster. So one morning, he's staring at his family's waffle iron, and this crazy idea hits him. He literally pours liquid rubber into it, and boom, completely destroys this beloved wedding gift. But in the process, he creates this wild new sole with insane grip. And that right there, that was the birth of the legendary waffle trainer.
$35. That is it. That's all Nike paid a college student back in 1971 to design their logo. Let that sink in. One of the most famous, most valuable symbols in the entire world was bought for less than you'd pay for a couple of movie tickets today. It's just wild.
And the craziest part? The other co-founder, Phil Knight, his reaction to the swoosh was, not great. He basically said, I don't love it, but maybe I'll get used to it. The iconic swoosh was pretty much a last-minute, reluctant choice just to get shoes out the door. It's the perfect story of that early, gritty, just-get-it-done spirit they had.
In that scrappy, unexpected origin story, it even applies to their world-famous slogan. Just do it is the ultimate motivational phrase, right? Well, where it came from is surprisingly dark. An advertising guy named Dan Whedon was actually inspired by the last words of a convicted murderer, Gary Gilmore, who said, "Let's do it," to his firing squad. Whedon just changed it a little, and yeah, a global icon was born.
So you've got this raw formula, right? Hands-on, waffle iron innovation, and pure gut instinct marketing. So what happens when you pour jet fuel on that little fire? Michael Jordan happens. This wasn't just another sponsorship deal. It was a cultural atom bomb that launched Nike from a niche running brand into a global force of nature.
There's actually a cool marketing concept that explains exactly why this worked so well. It's called the meaning transfer model. And the idea is pretty simple, really. A celebrity isn't just a person. They represent a whole bundle of ideas. Things like greatness, style, rebellion, you name it. And a really smart brand can basically transfer all that good stuff from the celebrity directly onto its product.
And the Air Jordan is the perfect example of this in action. So first up, you've got Michael Jordan, who just embodies excellence, skill, and this kind of cool, rebellious swagger. Then Nike creates the Air Jordan sneaker, tying it directly to him. And here's where the magic happens. All those amazing qualities, greatness, flying through the air, being the best, they transfer from the man to the shoes. So finally, when we buy the shoes, we're not just buying leather and laces, we're buying a little piece of that greatness.
So that was the magic recipe. Scrappy innovation, supercharged by the most powerful marketing partnership ever. For decades, this made Nike basically invincible. But let's jump back to today. Because somewhere along the way, that original formula, that foundation, started to crack.
Think about what Nike always promised us, right? You had that crazy innovation, that waffle iron spirit. You had this intense focus on creating the best products for athletes. You had quality you could depend on. It was a deal they made with us, the customers, and for years and years, they held up their end of the bargain.
But then, you look at what people are saying now, and that promise feels totally disconnected from reality. The word you see over and over? Laughable. People are saying the quality has just fallen off a cliff. Shoes that used to be the gold standard are now mad uncomfortable.
The brand that set trends is now seen as out of ideas. That old formula just feels broken.
So where does that leave Nike? It feels like they're at this huge turning point, this massive crossroads. And according to the guy who started it all, the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking about survival.
Yeah, Phil Knight actually wrote that in his book, Shoe Dog. And for him, it wasn't just some motivational quote. It was his whole philosophy. It's what pushed him to bet everything over and over again to build this empire. And for a company that was built on always moving forward, always innovating, well, standing still is basically the same as going backwards.
Which brings us to the big final question. The problem Nike is facing, it isn't just about sales numbers or bad online reviews. It feels like it's about its soul, its identity. Have they just gotten too big, too corporate, to remember that scrappy, hungry spirit that started it all? Maybe to win back its cool, to win the future, Nike needs to spend less time looking at spreadsheets and more time looking for the next waffle iron.